Good morning, everyone, and welcome to NYSE Live. I'm Kristen Scholler here in studio at the Stock Exchange. We do see equities currently fractionally lower as President Donald Trump is addressing the World Economic Forum as we speak in Davos, Switzerland. In the lead up to his trip there, he insisted that the U.S. should take control of Greenland, flaring tensions with Europe. NYSE President Lynn Martin is also in Davos. Earlier, she sat down with Bloomberg and yesterday spoke to CNBC anchor Sarah Eisen at the forum. Martin said she sees a super cycle of IPO activity. The digital asset infrastructure platform BitGo is scheduled to debut for trade on the NYSE tomorrow, and you can follow it at the ticker symbol BTGO. Of course, we'll be covering it wall to wall here on NYSE Live starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. Let's take a look at what's on tap this hour. We'll have the latest updates from Davos. Constellation Research CEO Ray Wang is going to speak to innovations like AI, robotics, and autonomy under discussion in the Swiss Alps. Plus, NYSE-listed HASI just made a $500 million investment to accelerate distributed power development. Its chief executive, Jeff Lipson, will share the details on what opportunities this joint venture with Sunrun will provide for the firm. Then at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, we'll take you live to that opening bell podium as we always do. The National Hot Rod Association is going to ring the opening bell to celebrate its 75th anniversary. 2025 champions Doug Kalita and Austin Prock will not only ring the opening bell, they're going to join us later on the trading floor to talk about the significance of being here to open equity markets. We begin with one event that investors all over the world are paying attention to, and that includes right now. The World Economic Forum is underway in Davos, Switzerland, and President Donald Trump is addressing those in attendance as we're on the air. Joining me from Davos with more is Ray Wang, CEO at Constellation Research. Ray, it's great to see you on the show this morning. What is the conversation happening on the ground in Davos as Trump delivers remarks?
You know, it's next door, as you can see. And what's happening right now is the conversation about where geopolitics, where energy, where security, and of course, where AI is going to go. And these are all the top topics. Every leader and every business leader as well, geopolitical and business leaders are trying to figure out what do they do next? What's that investment climate look like? Take a look at 2026. We're going to have 2.8 trillion AI spending. That's what we're predicting here at Constellation Research. Last year was a big year for AI funding, 202.3 billion, and AI companies are about to spend 550 billion in AI investments for 2026. But where does it go? How does it get allocated? What rules get put up? And there's a lot of interest in sovereign data centers, building out the infrastructure that's going to compete. And there's a lot of that going on right now at Davos with President Trump speaking. He's talking about the need to protect energy, the need to get the geopolitical security. And of course, that energy cost is driving everything in terms of the equation for where AI gets produced, AI gets funded, and how AI gets distributed.
You know, by many metrics, we've seen a lot of disruption in this past year, and AI does seem to be at the forefront of that. Speak to me more about that, Ray, how we see AI disrupting things and how it is really putting pressure on productivity.
It is actually happening in three dimensions. We have three concepts that are really for the AI age for business leaders. One is margin compression. You have to be faster, better, or cheaper. And it's going to be faster, better, and cheaper. All three have to happen. The second one is this notion of exponential scale, the ability to do things not at 30% better, 50% better. It's 10x, 100x. 1000x. And the last piece is infinite possibilities. You can build things and code at the speed of thought, which means your order of operations, which means deciding what you don't do is going to be the most important thing every business gets into. So that means we're going to figure out how to rewrite and redo customer experience. It's going to change the way that we allocate resources and funding for budgets. It's going to change the way we look at scenarios. It's also changing the way we're actually allocating for supply chains and procurement. This is happening as we speak. And more importantly, the companies that are actually able to master that by building a data foundation, those are the ones that are actually going to make it out of this AI age.
Mm-hmm. You're joining us from Davos. We see those beautiful Swiss Alps in the background. Ray, you joined us a little over a week ago from CES in Las Vegas. AI, a key trend and theme at both of these large events. Autonomy, another one. What are the conversations and the innovation happening around autonomy on the ground?
we're seeing lots of different systems, whether it's like robots, physical AI, you're seeing different systems that are monitoring. The whole notion of autonomy is not more than just automations, it's intelligent automation and the ability for devices to be able to make those decisions themselves over time. Of course, that means we're going to have to build guardrails. We're going to have to build security capabilities. That means we're also going to have the ability to manage these, shut them down when we need to for an emergency with kill switches. And of course, we've got to be able to figure out how they get governed over time. It's going to be different in almost every country in terms of the rules, the regulations, and those are still being sorted out. Well, at a place like Davos, that's where people talk about the policy, the implications. Is there an equity? Are we being inclusive about those technologies? Is it being distributed evenly? And of course, what policies are needed to actually rein them in or encourage the investment to actually spur that innovation?
You're in Europe. President Donald Trump, again, his speech still underway to those attendees at the World Economic Forum, talking about our trade partners, as he called them initially, Europe being one of them. But Greenland has been in a lot of focus of late, including with the president saying that the U.S. should take control of this Danish territory before he made his way to Davos. What are you finding from people is in focus when it comes to Greenland?
There's a lot of confusion on the European side and a lot of angst about why the U.S. would want to buy Greenland or potentially take Greenland by force. I think there's a lot of that. There's more negotiation and posturing that's been going on. There is a strategic value in Greenland, not just in the rare earths, but also from a military perspective. And from some sources here on the ground, we've been told that the deal may have already been done. And they're just going to make an announcement. So we'll see if there's breaking news today about that, or if it's later on within the week. But from our understanding is that, it's just here in Europe, there's a lot of angst, a lot of protests, a lot of disbelief that we would actually go and try to take Greenland. If you look at a geopolitical view from the U.S. side, being able to stop that, we could put military bases on there already today, but maybe there's something there around resources or conditions that the president or the administration is looking at that we may have overlooked.
We are still watching those remarks from the president currently underway, Ray. So Davos is going to continue through the rest of the week. What else is on tap as you are on the ground in the Swiss Alps?
There's a lot of conversation about where the investment market is going. There's an interesting phenomenon because we have companies that we call AI exponentials. These are companies that are doing 20% digital labor, doing 200,000 in revenue per employee or more. And these are companies that are actually scaling at a rate we've never seen before. These companies don't need venture funding like it was in the past. You can get there with product-led growth for up to about 50, even 100 million. And then the next level is really trying to get to a sales-led growth model. This is actually creating interesting havoc in the investment market because there aren't a lot of companies that need to be funded. They'll take seed funding, but they don't need the traditional VC model. The family offices that are here, which is a large number of participants here, are trying to figure out where to make those investments. So at the small end of the investment part, it's kind of hard to get in because you need to be in the networks. And then after that, you have to have billions of dollars to be able to participate in those big data and infrastructure plays in energy, data centers, manufacturing, distribution that are happening right now. So we're starting to see a barbell be created. And of course, that's the conversation that we're having here at Davos is where do you invest? Where do family offices make those investments? Meanwhile, business leaders are actually trying and hoping for stability and hoping to get some resolution out of the speech that is going on live right now.
All right. Ray, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. That's Ray Wang, CEO at Constellation Research, joining us from Davos, Switzerland, as the World Economic Forum is underway. All right, well, the NYSE kicked off this week with a big announcement on Monday. It's developing a tokenized securities platform that'll allow for round-the-clock trading. This new digital trading venue, which will include tokenized stocks and exchange-traded funds, is set to launch later this year, pending regulatory approval. John Herrick, the exchange's chief product officer, joined J.D. Durkin on yesterday's Taking Stock to learn more about it. Let's take a look.
It's a very exciting announcement for the NYSE, and I think it really signifies a key pivot point in the modernization of our modern market infrastructure. And I think if you look back and how things have operated and sort of the fixed trading hours, fixed settlement cycles, funding cycles, this really signifies a key pivot point for really us to bring in a number of market participants who want to innovate using some of these newer digital technologies in a way that preserves regulation and upholds issuer and investor protections.
John, how are you most expecting this will change the trading and settlement process overall?
Well, when you look at what we're building with this platform, it's really the first steps at overhauling the plumbing of the market. And when we look at our broader strategy across ICE, right, there's a lot that we're doing with our digital strategy to take these new, more modern on-chain technologies and help bring them to our clearinghouses, for example, to help make collateral more mobile and free up some of the capital that's in those clearinghouses. This venue is an extension of that. And I think what we're doing by bringing trading and settlement into one single platform, one single venue, we're going to be able to offer to these regulated market participants a place to begin to develop native digital solutions for their customers in a way that doesn't require the erosion of any of the embedded protections that exist in our markets today.
Yeah, without a doubt, I'm sure you and the entire team at the exchange and NYSE, you've seen that there is retail investor appetite for these type of products. What do you think might most change for retail investors in this new look future?
Well, when you look back at how the demands of today's investor have changed over the last several years, right? A lot of that has been driven by, some of the innovations that have come from the digital asset marketplace and decentralized finance. And so when we look at today's investor and what they're demanding, they're really looking for continuous round-the-clock access to trading. And the features like being able to do a trade and have it settle in real time is becoming more and more in demand, and a more modern user experience from a trading perspective, being able to express an order in notional dollar terms that results in a fractional share quantity are really things that are in demand for today's investor.
How are you thinking about the regulatory landscape over such a huge, exciting announcement like this, the CFTC, the SEC, and any other acronym that may be involved here out of Washington, D.C.?
Well, when you look at what we're trying to accomplish here, and really all that we do here at the NYSE, we recognize that trust is paramount in our markets. Right? Without trust, we lose so much that we've developed over a 200+ year history. And I think when we look at what we're trying to accomplish here, it really is responsible innovation, preserving that trust, working very closely with the regulators. We've had tremendous dialogue with the SEC, with the Crypto Task Force, Trading and Markets, and market participants that are interested in coming into this platform to, as I said earlier, begin building products for the future, products that are more digitally native, that their clients are demanding without losing any of the protections that our markets carry with them today.
All right, thanks again to NYSE Chief Product Officer John Herrick and, of course, JD Durkin for that interview. Well, stay with us because up next, one NYSE-listed firm just made a $500 million investment to accelerate distributed power development. Its CEO will tell us more about it on the other side of this break.
As we stand on the cusp of America's 250th anniversary, we're reminded of the principles that have powered the world's greatest economy.
The New York Stock Exchange is a cathedral of the capital markets, replete with rhythms and rituals that allocate resources towards socially valued uses. That story will reach a rare milestone when our republic marks its 250th year. Anniversaries of this magnitude demand more than just ceremony. They ask something of us. They invite us to reflect, to ensure that the future that we shape will prove to be worthy of the legacy that we've inherited.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. Earlier this month, NYSE listed HASI, which invests in distributed energy solutions across the country, announced that it is investing up to $500 million over an 18-month span into a newly formed joint venture with Sunrun. I want to bring in NYSE content creator Ashley Masternardi, who has more on this story. Ashley, good morning.
Good morning, Kristen. And to break down what this partnership means for HASI's growth strategy is Jeff Lipson, the CEO and president of HASI. Jeff, welcome. As we mentioned, you recently announced a joint venture with Sunrun earlier this month. What is the goal of the partnership, and why does this type of financing matter right now?
So we're very excited about the new joint venture with Sunrun. Sunrun is a long-term client of HASI. They provide solar and storage solutions to homeowners. We're a financial partner of theirs, and we've invested with them many times before. Our investment facilitates more homeowners obtaining power to their homes that is both affordable and resilient. And this investment also allows us to scale our business. We are now over $15 billion in managed assets, and our business has grown quite significantly. And these larger investments are certainly helpful in allowing us to achieve our growth targets. So the underlying risk return profile is very similar to what we've done with Sunrun historically, where we're financing the leases. And as long as homeowners continue to make payments, investors receive their return. So we're very excited about it. We have a client-driven business, and Sunrun is a very important client of ours.
About HASI, how do you differentiate yourself from traditional infrastructure investors?
So HASI is indeed very differentiated from other infrastructure funds in a number of ways. One is that we focused only on sustainable infrastructure. We've found great return in the clean energy world, and other infrastructures, other infrastructure funds have a much wider focus. Secondly, we invest at the asset level, secured by project cash flows. Many other infrastructure funds invest in platforms or entire companies. That's not our business model. Third, we have a very strong client orientation. So we go into the large infrastructure sponsors and developers and talk to them about their long-term strategy, provide framework agreements that become facilitations of long-term financial relationships rather than transactional relationships. So it's that client orientation. It's that how can we help you approach that differentiates us. And then finally, we're a permanent capital solution. So we invest typically for the life of the project. Many infrastructure funds have distribution requirements and structures that only allow them to make short-term investments in projects. So in all those ways, we're very differentiated from other infra funds.
And Jeff, when you look at the energy transition today, where are you seeing the strongest demand for capital?
So we're seeing very strong demand in solar and storage in particular. Solar is among the most cost-effective and fastest power source in terms of bringing it to market, and development cycles are shorter. There's enormous demand for power in the country right now, and solar and storage are certainly meeting that. But that shouldn't diminish demand in other technologies as well. We're seeing great demand in wind. We just did the largest wind project in North America recently in 2025. And we're seeing demand in renewable natural gas and fleet transportation. And again, it's all driven by a large increase in power demand in the country. So solar and storage are certainly leading the way, but we have a diverse business, and we're seeing demand across the board.
Jeff, what is up next for HASI?
I think it's to continue to diversify our business. We've talked about a group of assets we call the next frontier. So to build upon what we've done in renewables, what we've done in renewable natural gas, what we've done in energy efficiency, and apply our investment thesis and the same investment attributes to a wider number of technologies, a wider number of clients. Again, we're becoming larger. We're making larger investments like the Sunrun that you've mentioned, and I think we can continue to diversify our business. We can continue to grow if we remain disciplined and apply the similar attributes to our investment strategy as we've done historically.
CEO and president of HASI. Kristen, I'm going to send things back to you in Studio One.
Ashley, thank you so much. And of course, our thanks to HASI as well. Well, stay with us because up next, Ethernovia just made a major money move of its own, and the CEO is going to share those details on the other side of this break.
The New York Stock Exchange is a cathedral of the capital markets. So there are a few places more fitting to consider the future of the American financial system than this one.
At the NYSE, we applaud SEC Chairman Atkins and the entire Trump administration for working to reduce the burdens on existing public companies and soon-to-be public companies.
I believe that we will ensure that the American story, which began in many ways just steps outside, is preserved not by memory or speeches alone, but by the courage of those who are determined to chart its next chapter.
When we talk about the titans of industry and we talk about the titans of finance, there's a reason that we're all coming together still after all these years to the corner of Wall and Broad Street.
We are ringing the opening bell this morning to celebrate the launch of 6 new ETFs by direction.
We look forward to many more. I mean, today's 6, we're going to do hundreds more.
The New York Stock Exchange, the home of ETFs.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. On Tuesday, semiconductor startup Ethernovia announced that it raised more than $90 million in a Series B funding round. The company says it's on a mission to develop a new class of high-performance auto and edge packet processors that'll serve as the data backbone for next-gen physical AI systems. Well, joining me now with more is Ramin Shirani. He's Ethernovia's co-founder and CEO. Ramin, welcome and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Kirsten.
$90 million in this new funding round announced this week. How is your company going to put this fresh funding to work?
The fresh funding is going to be used for expanding our commercialization of our products. We're going to also use it to significantly improve our go-to-market with customer-facing, and the company is primarily built with key engineers, and really the biggest asset of the company is our engineering talent. So we're going to continue hiring the best engineers and the best of the breed in the world.
Why is this raise important to your firm as you look to grow?
The raise is extremely important to us because from a timing perspective, we're at a point in physical AI and the evolution from cloud and data center AI to physical AI, where there's a lot of push to robots and autonomous vehicles, and the raise would be fundamental for us for our roadmap from a go-to-market perspective and from a timing perspective of expanding our marketplace.
Talk to me about Ethernovia's position in this marketplace and what makes your firm competitive.
Absolutely. So we started Ethernovia back in 2018. Ethernovia started by focusing on autonomous vehicles, being the nervous system of autonomous vehicles. Ever since then, we see the evolution in AI into physical AI. What physical AI is basically autonomous machines that can think, reason, and take action in the environment. And the raise is important to us because we're in a well-positioned with our technology to be addressing the next generation nervous system of autonomous vehicles and machines. We're on a way to expand the company and take us to the next level with the fresh funding that we raised.
In terms of your 2026 goals, how does this set you up for success in the new year?
2026 goals is really take the fresh capital, apply it to our engineering, our operations, and to expand our customer-facing team, and really take our roadmap from where it is today to where it needs to go over the next year.
How do you define physical AI? This is a term our viewers are hearing more about, and I'm sure they want to hear from you in your own words as to what this means, especially for your firm.
Absolutely. So physical AI is basically now machines and systems that can think autonomously, right? Really, what does it mean? It means machines that can observe, right? They can observe their surrounding. Machines that can understand, and machines that can actually reason and be able to then take action in the physical environment. We like to think of it as Eternovia being the nervous system of intelligent machines, right? And the nervous system of these intelligent machines basically means that we're in robots, we're in autonomous vehicles and edge devices.
What does this mean for connectivity?
Connectivity is foundation for next generation autonomous vehicles and robots. And again, there's a lot of emphasis on AI processors, sensors, but really what makes a lot of sense is that nervous system of the machine and how you take the sensors all the way to the CPU and the GPU. So the connectivity within the robots and within the autonomous vehicles, within the intelligent machine is the foundation of the AI pipe, right? Taking you from observing the data all the way to analyzing data and then taking action.
Ramin Sharani, Eternovia co-founder and CEO, thank you so much for joining me here at the New York Stock Exchange.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, in just a moment here, the National Hot Rod Association, better known as the NHRA, is set to ring the opening bell to celebrate a milestone. The association is spotlighting its 75th anniversary in 2026, a year-long celebration of drag racing's legacy with special events, appearances from legendary drivers, and unique fan experiences. Well, this year's festivities come after the NHRA says it reached record TV ratings during the 2025 season and drew nearly 75,000 fans on average during race weekends. The NHRA is also honoring its 75 greatest drivers in its history, and that does include reigning and Top Fuel world champion Doug Kalita, who is today's official bell ringer. Well, joining him on the podium is Austin Prock, the 2025 NHRA Funny Car World Champion. Both are going to join our Ashley Masternardi down there on the trading floor later this hour to talk about the significance of ringing the bell here at the NYSE and the excitement for the sport's 75th season. You're taking a live look at that opening bell podium as trading is set to start on this Wednesday. Let's listen in as they open equity markets.
16 years ago, an anonymous person released an idea onto the internet. No identity, no institution behind it, no marketing strategy. It was just a white paper and a challenge to everything we thought about money. What if money were open instead of closed? What if it belonged to everyone instead of being controlled by a few? Bitcoin survived every attempt to kill it because the idea itself was stronger than the forces that tried to stop it. And now, today, inside one of the most iconic institutions in the world of finance, we honor a creator who never asked for credit, never stood in front of cameras, and ultimately stepped away so that the idea could stand on its own. Satoshi Nakamoto.
Why are we here? Because Magnum Ice Cream Company is an ambitious company. We're all about growth. And for growth, you need people and you need to have belief that focus on only ice cream will propel this business. These folks here in the room wake up every morning thinking about ice cream, and they go to bed thinking about ice cream, and that's why it will be a successful company that delights the world with unbelievable products.
Welcome back, everyone, to NYSE Live. We are officially off to the races. The stock market open for trade. We do see fractional gains across the board. The major indices in the green. Pre-market, we had seen them moving between gains and losses. All of this coming as President Donald Trump is delivering remarks in Davos, Switzerland, at the World Economic Forum. Joining me now with more is our resident expert, Eric Criscolo. He's a market strategist here on the trading floor for the NYSE. Eric, good morning.
Great to be here, Kristen. Good morning as well.
Okay, so let's talk about the market moves because we had seen investors a little unsure leading into the president's remarks, but now we're opening up in the green. What's behind that?
Yeah, so futures were trading a little lower actually in the pre-market, kind of waiting for Trump to start talking. He did. He was talking about a lot of things, pretty much everything under the sun. But once he mentioned that we still want to acquire Greenland, but we won't take it by force, that's when the markets ripped higher. The S&P futures gapped up, and that's what got us into the positive territory where we are today.
And of course, the president, as I mentioned earlier, is still speaking, so we'll see what other headlines come out of this. But I think it's fair to say this is a headline-driven market, right? Reminds us what it was like at the beginning of last year as well.
Yeah, well, you saw that coming into this week after the Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday. Trump had basically reignited the tariff tirade tantrums that he was known for last April, talking about issuing 10 to 25% tariffs on Europe, countries that didn't want us or blocked us from acquiring Greenland. So yesterday we saw the market sell off, pretty significantly. I think the S&P was down about 2%. So there was just, again, geopolitical issues, on top of Greenland and Venezuela and, Iran. Now it was new tariffs coming back. So the market just did not like that, sold off, and we finished down about 2%. Actually broke, I think, the 50-day moving average, so kind of a key technical level there as well.
Of course, these headlines transpiring out of Davos as we are in the midst of earnings season. Companies really starting to ramp up in terms of the number of firms in the S&P 500 reporting. Takeaways so far?
Relatively well earnings overall, solid. It's basically the financials that have been reporting, and they put up good numbers. The problem is, though, is that even if they put up good numbers, those stocks are selling off afterwards. Basically, what we're seeing is the hurdle rate is very high, and it's been getting higher and higher over the past 3 years as the S&P has climbed 80%. So now you're looking at the fact where the expectations are so high that there's no way that a company can beat them, right? Or to give investors what they're looking for. And so you're seeing that kind of immediate sell-off after even solid earnings happening. You saw it a lot in the big banks that report first last week, and now, as you said, we're kind of broadening out the new the other companies that are reporting now. Johnson & Johnson, being a major healthcare company, just reported today. They were trading lower in the pre-market, even on solid earnings. So, that kind of dynamic is playing out right now.
I do want to talk about trade, because one of the factors that the market is watching is this Supreme Court decision on tariffs. Where do we stand with that?
Yeah, we were hoping to get an opinion from the justices yesterday. It didn't happen. From the legal experts that I've been reading on, who have been providing all the commentary, the next decision is probably not going to happen until February 20th because of a recess and some other internal Supreme Court dynamics. So that's what I'm kind of under the impression of, from those experts, and the market still basically expects those tariffs to be null and void by the Supreme Court, although they've ticked up a little bit as far as what the prediction markets say, breaking in favor of Trump. It's gone from about 20% in favor to about 30%, so a little higher.
It's been a busy January. I think it's fair to say, right? And there are a lot of barometers within January, the first 5 days, the so-called Santa Claus rally that does encapsulate the first 2 trading days of January, and then collectively the month of January that we see. Amid these headlines, are the seasonals telling you anything in particular?
Yeah, it's very mixed right now. The January, I think we're about flat now, maybe a little about flat on the S&P 500 for January after yesterday, and plus where we opened today. So, still to be determined. What you are seeing is a pretty big rotation within the sectors. Tech is actually underperforming so far this year. You're seeing sectors that really underperformed last year rising to the top so far in January. So the money kind of flowing out of information technology, although some parts are still strong, but flowing out of tech and into areas like materials, into areas like some of the healthcare names, industrials, and so consumer staples as well, a very defensive name or sector. So we're seeing kind of investors reconfigure how they're deploying capital right now in the early part of the year. Something to look out for, because the S&P might be trade flat, even though most of the sectors and most of the stocks are actually significantly higher if those mega caps don't outperform.
All right, Eric. President is still speaking, so we'll wait to see what other headlines, of course, come out of Davos, Switzerland, the NYSE on the ground in Davos at the World Economic Forum as well. That's Eric Criscolo. He's market strategist for the New York Stock Exchange. Thanks.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Well, still to come, NYSE-listed Bosch and Lomb highlighted its recent innovations when it rang the closing bell in the fall. And its CEO told us more about what it is offering clients. Then at this year's Endeavor Week, the CEO of Solfacil revealed what he believes is the, quote, ultimate currency, end quote, and you want to hear what that is. Plus, later on, we're going to head down to the trading floor where today's bell ringers are going to tell us what is in store live for the NHRA's 75th anniversary. Stay with us here on NYSE Live.
I'm just so honored and so grateful to you, Lynn, for welcoming us to announce our Time Person of the Year, the architects of AI. I want to take a moment to welcome Chris Lehane. You have been an incredible driving force, making AI accessible to everyone, and we are so glad that you are here with us today. We are focusing on the leaders and the people and the humans that are imagining and building this future that we will all be living in.
We had somebody ask us recently, why are you going out at this time of the year? The reason we're doing this is for our people. It's not about us. Our motivation for doing this transaction is to make this a better place for the next generation We have a stewardship responsibility to our people to give them a professional and a financial opportunity that's better than what we have. And what I am very proud of is the team that we have here. This is a true partnership in every sense of the word.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. This past fall, NYSE listed Bosch and Lomb rang the closing bell to celebrate its recent Investor Day. Its chairman and CEO Brent Saunders, who rang the bell that afternoon, rejoined the firm in 2023 after initially serving as its chief executive from 2010 to 2013. There's a look at that bell. And while at the stock exchange, Saunders sat down with NYSE content creator Ashley Masternardi to dive into the biggest changes that the firm has made since his return. Let's take a look.
Few things that needed to change. First, we had to focus on our selling capabilities, our sales force, making sure we had the best people with the best technology and products and everything else. We focused on our supply chain and really had gotten hurt by COVID and the disruption in supply chains. So we really focused on creating a more reliable, high quality supply chain. And then most importantly, we focused on innovation. We really didn't have much in the cupboards. We recruited a lot of great talent into our R&D organization, and now 3 years later, we're really excited to see some of the output of some of the great work that team has done to create innovations in eye care.
And speaking of innovations, I understand that you are highlighting some new products that you're releasing. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, so our goal was to not really focus on incremental innovations, but innovations that really elevated the standard of care for patients across all of our businesses. So in pharmaceuticals, we're looking at new medicines for the eye that treat disease in a more substantial way. That could be in dry eye, where we're looking at combination therapy for patients. It could be in glaucoma, where we're looking at neuroprotection in addition to controlling intraocular pressure, but really trying to preserve or enhance vision. Or it could be in an area that's complete white space, like ocular pain, where we're launching a new program to treat ocular pain where there is no treatment today. In contact lenses, there hasn't been a new material science innovation since 1999 when Bausch & Lomb introduced silicone hydrogel. So it's been a long drought of 26 years without new material science. We're announcing a new biomimetic material that really works in a homeostasis way around your eye to create better ocular surface health and great comfort and vision for patients. In surgical, great new intraocular lenses for cataracts, new lasers, new tools for surgeons, and then consumer, improving beloved products like Lumify or nutritional health for patients with AMD like PreserVision. So really great new products coming that are meaningful step changes for treating eye health.
What is the process internally for developing innovations like this?
Yeah, so we take a different approach for different types of innovations. So for example, in contact lenses, we have a lot of research capabilities, and so that's completely homegrown. On the pharmaceutical side, we go out and we collaborate and we buy early science and we develop the products through the regulatory framework or the clinical framework. So it's not a one size fits all. They're great ideas in this big ecosystem of innovation. Some will come from us, but a lot of them will come from outside, and let's work together to collaborate to bring the best outcomes for patients.
And I'm sure a lot of that internally has to do with your talent. And you've spoken in the past passionately about talent. How do you think that recruiting and maintaining talent within your company, affects, the products you come
Yes,
out with?
actually, you said it. I think talent is the most important part of the equation for a successful company. if you think about all the things we invest in, like R&D, the programs we just talked about, they don't have an unlimited return, right? The intellectual property goes away and we lose the product. Talent has unlimited compounding effect. And so it's the best investment we can make, and the best way to recruit great talent is great culture and opportunity. People want to work someplace where they can have an impact in whatever area they work. If you're a lawyer, you want to have an impact in the legal department. If you're a scientist, you want to create new medicines or new products that ultimately reach patients and make a difference. And so it's about creating that ownership culture, eliminating bureaucracy, and let people get on with doing their job and create impact.
All right, thanks again to Brent Saunders and Ashley Mastronardi for that interview. Well, some other news, Endeavor Week in New York City brought together entrepreneurs shaping the future around the world. And several of these leaders were recently at the exchange, including Fabio Carrara, founder and CEO of Solfacil. He told our Ashley Mastronardi how his firm is looking to drive a solar revolution in the region. Let's take a look.
So energy is the input for everything. We take energy for granted sometimes, but when there is a shutdown, when we are without energy, we see how important it is. And more, we're moving towards a society where energy is even more important. With the adoption of EVs, data centers, crypto, energy will become even more important. So energy is the ultimate currency. It's the backbone of economies today.
And what is the energy infrastructure like in the region that you serve?
So in Brazil, like everywhere in the world, the grid is 100-year-old. It served us well for the last 100 years, but now with the exponential growth of energy consumption, it's getting more difficult to keep up with the traditional structure of centralized power generation and long transmission lines. So more and more, we're gonna need a grid that is distributed. Just for you to have an idea, in Brazil in the last 5 years, distributed solar was the #1 source of new electricity capacity added in the country. And most of this capacity was on top of houses, many of them financed by Solfacil. So we're moving towards an infrastructure that is gonna be more and more decentralized.
How will the infrastructure be updated? Like, what does that look like in practice? Like, who invests in it? Do companies invest in it? The government? Like, what is the breakdown?
So traditionally, the government tries to facilitate the process and to make sure that we have infrastructure to keep up with the needs of the country. It's a very strategic resource. But more and more with the advent of distributed solar, we're giving power to consumers to also play an important role in that sense. So as I told you, Brazil is a country that typically has a very high interest rate environment. It's a challenged country to deploy infrastructure. Still, households were responsible for deploying the most of our new added capacity in the last 5 years. So it's sort of a revolution where we're giving power to people, literally.
And I understand that Solfacil has proprietary technology. Can you break that down for us?
So we have our mix of hardware and software proprietary technology. We call it SMART, Intelligent Energy. So basically it's an IoT that we're deploying to thousands of homes in Brazil, hopefully millions of homes. Brazil has 80 million energy customers. And what it provides to us, to consumers and our partner installers, it's real-time data of what's happening energy-wise in the home. And that's pretty interesting because it allows us to share insights with those consumers and provide solutions for them to make better use of their energy. For example, they can produce their own energy if they have a space on their roof. They can put storage if they have grid outages, or if they have the opportunity to do energy arbitrage in regions where there's time of use pricing signals for consumers. And the beauty of our technology is that it not only provides like rich data, but it also allows us to remote control the assets that exist in the home. The solar panel, the battery, the car that is nothing more than a huge battery on 4 wheels. And we've been able to control those assets remotely. We can provide grid services and help the grid to be stable. An example of that, it's time shifting. basically use the battery of the car to suck energy from the system when the energy is abundant, and to discharge energy when energy is scarce. That's very important. Those are the things that we're helping with so far. So.
And thanks again to Fabio Carrara and Ashley Mastronardi for that interview. Well, up next, today's bell ringers are going to join us live from the trading floor as part of NHRA's anniversary celebration. There they are. We will hear from them shortly. Stay with us. We'll have more on the other side of this short break.
I know 100 years isn't much in the New York Stock Exchange laurels, but we're very proud. First U.S. airline to reach 100. The resilience and the determination to move forward despite all odds is something that I think we're all proud of. And we've had a great opportunity to celebrate this year. The power of obsessing on our customers is what makes Delta really great. And my superpower, I'd like to think, is obsessing on them, on these people, so that they can go do the job. And it's not just me, it's our leadership team in terms of making it happen.
It's a bit of a pinch me moment. I mean, everyone's here. Here we just rung the New York Stock Exchange bell. In a lot of ways, it's a dream come true. When you walk around the NYSE floor, it's just emblematic of the American dream. Look, if I can do it, others can do it too. So believe in yourself, work hard, be the best you can be every day, and it compounds.
A plan to go and change the way people fly. It is the next step. When we look back at what we promised to go do and then we go do it, it'll be the foundation of our business that builds us to the next step. And it's because of the people here and what you all did, which was enabling greatness.
Welcome back to NYSE Live. Earlier this hour, the NHRA rang the opening bell to celebrate its 75th anniversary and the premiere of its Chasing Speed docuseries. I want to send things down to the trading floor now, where Ashley Mastronardi is standing by with two very special guests. Ashley, over to you.
Thanks, Kristen. 12,000 horsepower and speeds topping 340 miles an hour. NHR drag racing is not for the faint of heart. And the two men who have experienced it firsthand join me now. Doug Coletta, he's the 2025 NHRA Top Fuel World Champion, and Austin Prock, the NHRA Funny Car World Champion. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no, thank you.
All right, so we're going into the 75th season of NHRA. What does it mean to be here to ring the opening bell to celebrate that?
No, it's been incredible. What an experience. Got the sign on the wall. You know, we're here with a lot of our NHRA friends and Fox and Vice. So yeah, we're all celebrating, having fun here. It's been great so far.
And what does it mean for you to be here celebrating the 75th? And what does it mean for NHRA to have been around for 75 years?
Well, it's an amazing accomplishment for the sport. Very proud to be in the NHRA and, go on this 75th tour with them. Hopefully it leads to another world championship for us.
And as I mentioned, this is the fastest motor sport on the planet. These cars go 340 miles per hour. What does it feel like to be in a car? The adrenaline must be pumping.
Yeah, it's a very addicting feeling for sure. Once you taste that adrenaline, you never want to lose it, but you can kind of get a behind the scenes look on Vice TV, debuting today at 9 p.m. It's going to take a look into the driver's eyes, see their lifestyles, and see what mentality it takes to drive one of these beasts.
And as we can see on our screen now, these races are really just a straight sprint. What makes a winning strategy if these cars are just driving straight?
Yeah, it's just it's an incredible team effort. So driving the cars, it's straight to the floor with the throttle. There's a lot goes on with the way the cars are set up. So, but yeah, just there's a wind light down there, and it's typically a very close race. With very thin margins of victory. So, yeah, it's very gratifying to get the wins.
And how long do the races last?
It's about 4 hours for an event, but each race is about 3.6 to 3.8 seconds. So it's short, quick, and to the point, and when that win light comes on, it's a great day.
All right, and you have, speaking of the win light, you have 59 wins under your belt. You're also a two-time world champion. How do you maintain your level of success year after year?
Yeah, it's just surrounding yourself with great people. That's been key for me, and we've got, and my sponsors, just one in particular, Stanley Black & Decker Mac Tools, which they're here with, signage. So it's pretty impressive to be amongst this group here today.
All right, Austin, and you had 9 wins last season. What is your strategy going into this next season?
A lot of hard work, a lot of effort. We actually just switched race teams, and we're putting in the effort at the race shop right now. But I have my family racing with me. We have great partners in Ford Racing, and we're going to put all those tools to work and go for 3 in a row. That was my second consecutive championship. I won my rookie season, won again in 2025, and we're going for that three-peat now.
And you told me that your family has been racing since the 1930s, and you were born into this. Can you share more about that?
Yeah, my great-grandfather raced Indy cars back in the 1930s. My grandfather was a pioneer of NHRA drag racing, driving a funny car back in the 70s. And my dad and brothers both work on my race cars. My dad and Thomas, my brother, tune my race car, and I get to drive it. So it's a family affair and wouldn't want it any other way.
And Doug, besides racing, you are a businessman. You own Coletta Charters. How do you apply what you learn in the business world to the racing world?
Yeah, again, being on the road, you have to have, just surround yourself with good people. I said it again, but really that's really what it takes for me. But it's a great balance, having your own aircraft to get to these events is nice, and it's certainly convenient. So, but we run, overall over 100 airplanes. The largest ones are the 747 and 777 long range international planes, down to just like a charter. Learjets and those types of planes. So, but no, it's a lot of fun. I love flying and I love racing, and it's a great balance.
All right, Doug Coletta and Austin Prock, world champions. Thank you so much for joining us at the New York Stock Exchange.
Cool, thank you.
Kristen, I am going to send things back up to you in the studio.
All right, Ashley, and that's going to do it for today's show of NYSE Live. Thank you, everyone, for watching as always, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Have a great day.
Welcome to the public market.
The New York Stock Exchange is a cathedral of the capital markets. So there are a few places more fitting to consider the future of American financial system than this one.
So thrilled for this next chapter to begin today with all of you in this historic building.
The day we went public, it was the most bizarre day of my life. He said, yesterday, Shake Shack was the most beloved hamburger company in the entire country. Today, it's going to be the most reviled stock. He said, you guys are never going to grow into your $46 valuation. How many Shacks did we have 10 years ago? 31 Shacks. And did I not just hear Rob say that we're going to have 1,500 Shacks? So yes, we grew into that $46. It's all because of you guys. I'm so proud of you, every one of you. You work so hard to make so many people happy, and you make your communities better. What more could you ask for?